Hello, everybody. Nice to be here this year again. I don't know how many now. I think it was the first Integrate. So I'm speaking about, I don't know, 10 years, 11 years, something like that. Let's jump in the session. The agenda. Okay, during this session, I was thinking about what to speak about here this year. So first of all, something I want to give you. I want to give you something to think out of the box. This video you see here about this ant, I'm passionate about this video. I watch this video again and again and again and again. You see this ant, they designed this circle, and the ant is just there in the circle and is not able to escape. But at some point, the ant will just get out from the circle, and again and again. And at the end, the ant is just keep going. He just learn, how to get out of the box. And this is what I do in my life, in my job, and in my life, everywhere, especially in the family. With my wife, I go out of the box. That's one thing I'm really good. So this is the first thing. The second thing is I'm going to provide you some personal consideration about artificial intelligence. I use a lot artificial intelligence in my job. You will understand why. And also, we look about some real scenario, because I think it's important you understand how much we look about integration in cybersecurity. You cannot even imagine how much is important integration in cybersecurity. And it can be even a very good business. I don't know if any of you, own a company, everything they're thinking about the next business or kind of opportunity. I can tell you integration in cybersecurity is a massive business. Because we integrate the data, we integrate information, everything, we need to look about the data, to spot about threat, many other things. And integration is at the base of everything in the cyber. This is why I think this session itself is quite really important and valuable for you today. And we will look about principle about AI integration. I will think about what I can speak this year about, in integrate. I don't want to speak about security or itself, usually I've done something about security, so on. No, I want to give you some value about integration, AI integration, give you some basic principles that I learned, so I want to share with you. What about myself? I'm a hacker. 90 is my AKA, 90, 90. This is how people call me in UK, 90, so 90, 90. So in my job, what I do is I have a company and I work in the cybersecurity space. In this last 3, 4, 5 months and more, very deeply working with a couple of government organizations and another quite important service company, which is the actually gas control in UK country, in the country UK. And what I do in my job, in this period, I'm following a lot of different things and project initiative. I work in the field with security teams, SOC, SecOps, and so on. I do forensic, I do anti-terrorism, cyber intelligence, threat intelligence, threat detection, all this kind of operation, so in the field. And you can learn a lot from this. You can imagine, I don't know, for sure everybody, heard about the attack in France, in Spain, the last one about Mark & Spencer, and other things. This is actually raised the bar a lot in UK. So we work a lot on this because it's quite bad when you start, getting this kind of buzzing around. Microsoft MVP since 18 years now. I do workshop, training, and other things. My personal consideration, first of all, about artificial intelligence. Something I really like about artificial intelligence is unbiased decision making. So for me, AI is quite, kind of abstract way, right? So it's not really get influence about politics, other things. I can actually calibrate models, things, right? It can be, there is no politics, there is no all these kind of things. It is technology agnostic, unless you train the model for some specific technology. Otherwise, the advice is usually quite agnostic from technology. And I like that. So this is a very good aspect. Speed, consistency, yeah, it's super fast. How many of you are using artificial intelligence in the job now? How many of you integrated inside the process? That's interesting. Okay. Okay, I think you will find very valuable this session then. So speed, of course, no emotion driven. Artificial intelligence is not emotion driven, right? So it just gives you what you need without stress or other things. And continuously up to date. Learn is always update about last things, last update, last information, all these things, which is really good. This is an experiment I've made. I don't know how many of you know Codex. How many of you know Codex? Okay, I put in Codex a couple of things. It was a blog about integration, Beanstalk integration, and something about Sandro. He gave me a document about the Beanstalk integration. I put everything inside, and I asked Codex, can you please migrate this Beanstalk project for me and give me everything I need, if you need Azure function, other things. And this is actually started working pretty well. So this is one of the things I start using and thinking about. That can be one of the options to use artificial intelligence. This is, you can see, is actually providing me very useful information. It's also actually writing code, the Azure function, even the service bus, all things. And this is on the fly. So he actually migrate me a Beanstalk process in like, I don't know, 2 minutes, something like that. It's providing me code. It's also providing me the pattern, good things to use, the good way, best practice, and many other things. So this is, for me, it can be one of the things where I can actually use artificial intelligence and where I can rely on something that it can be even agnostic, right? I think it's important you understand how we use AI integration and integration itself in SecOps. So you can also understand, all the other things I'm going to explain you later on. This is, you can see here, is one of the tools we use. Some people use and many other people use. If you use artificial intelligence in quite an extreme way, I don't know how many of you heard about the Confi UI. Nobody? This one is one of the most advanced integration open source tool I know. If you want to work integration in AI in very intensive way with a very, I would say, extreme way, this is a quite complex project, integration project using model for image, picture, everything. Is create, this is one of the demo I use to show how to create a fake person. This is actually tools used to create a fake person or fake video. It's working also with audio. Each block that you see here is actually custom blocks built, and each of them is actually exposing automatically API interfaces. So you can even create a process using different AI model and other things and integrate externally using API call. It's quite cool. It's very nice. It's open source, right? A lot of people are using. We use this for a lot of things, a lot of analysis, for forensic, for offensive security, and many other things. This one you can see here is Kali Linux. How many of you know about Kali Linux or hear about Kali Linux? Okay. This is a famous operating system used by offensive security. We use a lot Kali Linux. Why integration? Integration because we use AI everywhere, wherever we can to accelerate our operation. So we use Kali Linux and we integrated artificial intelligence inside Kali Linux. What you see here, this is an attack. This is offensive security attack. We are asking, I want to scan this specific IP address. It's just writing like that. Artificial intelligence behind the scene is actually providing all the command because artificial intelligence model, he knows he is in Kali Linux. And he's providing nmap command and do the scanning. We find there is a 338 port open, so we ask them execute a brute force attack and so on and blah, blah, blah. And he's providing an Hydra command everything to execute the brute force. Can you imagine how you can accelerate operation in cybersecurity, especially for people using in incident and response or offensive security and working at this speed, where they can just write inside the terminal Linux console and AI is providing immediately response and all these kind of things. We also use, I don't know how many of you knows about the kill chain, security kill chain. Anyone? So when we work in, this is the very most important basic things in cybersecurity. Wherever things happen, or we need to study or looking about a threat or other things, what we are going to do, we are going to look for the kill chain. This is what you see is a sequence of an attack. When we look about this sequence, we get this code. Why these codes are important? Because all these codes are inside a database. How many of you heard about Mitre attack? Good. So what we do, we use Mitre attack framework. This is for integration, is the must. Because all security data, all security information are actually inside this. Is a massive, imagine a massive database full of security data. We look at this big, massive database of information, and we use this tool to map all the static and techniques. Inside there is, you see all taxis, sticks, data, everything. All these data are actually flowing, okay, and looking, flowing across the system between taxi server and all these things. And what we do is, as you can see here, the tactics and techniques on the bottom, we look to make statistics. We get, for example, I'll give you a very quick example. Look about a company. In the company, we need to look about the data sources, right? For the data sources, what we do, we look about all the applications you have in the company. All the applications are logging data somewhere. So what we do, we collect all this data, all this information, everything. And we map type of logs, everything, we Mitre attack. And with this, we get a visibility and printing of a heat map. And we have an exposure about all the point, everything we need to protect or we are missing in terms of security inside the company. And all this is actually integrated, this data that we need actually to integrate. This is another example. We do forensic investigation. We are asking here to do forensic investigation. We are using artificial intelligence. And we are asking about, this is the imprinting, the kill chain. Can you check in Sentinel? So we integrate all the rules from Sentinel, get the rule. Using artificial intelligence, we ask, hey, this is all the rule we have in Sentinel. Can you tell me if the rule we have, they're actually respecting this kill chain, right? And we get this response here. You can see it's telling me, oh, there is a problem. I don't see this kind of rule about MFA. You should have a rule about MFA. You don't. right? And if you think this is integration, you can also automate. We automate all these things, right? We integrate in Excel. What you see is a real matrix we use across Excel. We integrate data inside Excel. And we also use artificial intelligence inside Excel, right? So we do, you see, this is the famous skill chain you've seen before, and we integrate all this data inside Excel to get a lot of different information like statistics, threat, what we are good in the company, what we are missing, and many, many other things, right? Okay, how we do that? So let's go back now, and let's go more inside the integration. There are two main ways, I would say. I don't want to overcomplicate things because for me, when you're starting complicated things, it's not good. I just want to keep simple, but I want people to understand. One of the ways is AI, using AI agent. How many of you are using AI agent? Multi-agent. Okay. Agent is essentially an entity coming from the model, specialized in something, right? So here, for example, we have the model, the LLM, and we have 4 different agents looking. So we have an agent for a personal assistant, research, planner, translator, and so on. Some of the tool we use is Autogen. How many of you know Autogen? Nice. So Autogen is quite good. It's a framework built by Microsoft. This is, you see here, is how Autogen actually works. What I like is it's quite very well done, to be honest. Not really complicated to use. Something I really like is this one, is Studio and Bench. There are still 2 different tools, especially Bench, where you can create benchmark and do benchmark about the model, performances, all these kind of things. At the bottom, you have a core, so there is a quite strong API framework exposed, so you can integrate quite easily with artificial intelligence, everything inside the framework. You have something really useful, this one, Magentic One, an orchestrator, where actually helping you managing the agent together. So you make the question, you put a lot of agents inside, and they start trying to solve a problem together. And the orchestrator actually trying to understanding who is the best agent to call to solve specific task, right? Agent Studio is something good. If people are really familiar with Python, the framework is actually working in Python. But if you're not familiar with Python, you can actually use Autogen just using the Studio. So you don't need to write the code in Python. You can just use the Studio. You can start playing with the Studio. It's quite easy, drag and drop, all these kind of things. The good thing is the behind the scene is actually writing Python code. So, right, so you can do both in one. So I would say quite nice and useful. I'll give you a demo now. I'm going to show you a bit about the let me put the glasses, getting old. Yes, age. I need glasses now. Okay. So this is one, this is actually an example. We use this one for security, everything. There are 3 agents here, and one orchestrator is using GPT at this point. And there is one agent, which is actually an assistant agent, generic agent. As you can see from the code, it's not really complicated. It's a main, it's everything here. That's it, right? So there is an agent, there is an executor. The executor is an agent able to execute code, create all these kinds of things. And there is another one which is actually an orchestrator, so it's deciding about things. And this is asking about, hey, can you actually scan this IP address and so on, and looking about exploit and other things. This is start working and start calling the agent and many other things. In the meantime, during is running, these glasses here is anyway, okay. The good things I want to give you is this one about Autogen, what I really like. The way you define, for example, models. You use a YAML file, and I like this because it's quite nice and useful, very easy. You can manage, parameter everything, super easy, nothing really complex. It's running now. It's nothing more than that. If we look about the agent itself, there is nothing really complicated. I just want to show you this because it's so easy. This is the command validator. This is one is validating a command. This is OS command executor. So when we are looking to create an agent, what we do, we define a function, we provide a system message, easy. So we describe about a model. We say, this is the type of model you are good at doing this, all these kinds of things. And apart from that, we put some description, everything. This is what the orchestrator needs. When we executed this, the orchestrator is going to ingest all this information and get the idea about what do I have. I have this agent, they are good at doing this, this is good at doing this. So this is helping the orchestrator how to manage, you know, all the agent. So it's quite, I would say, easy, you know, things to use. It's nothing really assistant agent, you can see very quick, very small code. It's nothing really super complicated, right? So I would say, integration speaking, I think Autogen can be a really good framework, right? If you like to work, I know many of you are using AI in, I would say, kind of RAD approach, like Logic App, other things. This is more peculiar. This is more detailed. You can control a lot here. You can even go very deep inside the model, inside the code, everything. You can even build your own framework using these kind of things. Yeah, so back here, and let's go back here. Let's go now with this one. How many of you know about Model Context Protocol? Okay. I think a Model Context Protocol for integration is absolutely the must, the top. Okay? I showed you before the agent, multi-agent, that's okay. The problem with multi-agent is really complicated to control the agent. So when they start, it's really complicated to orchestrate the agent, everything. With the MCP, it's changing. But what I want to do during this session, especially because I work many years in integration, and I think one of the most important things is understanding the foundation of things. So what I want to do, I want to speak about MCP in a different way. I want to speak about MCP as integrator, as Neil, right? Try to show you what MCP is. So MCP start the evolution. First, we use LLM models, like you can see here, where we have models, LLM models, accessing to tools, database, many other things, coding, all these things. Well, integration speaking, what is one of the biggest principles in integration? The biggest one, the most important. Abstraction, right? We need to stay abstract from process for things. Adaptation, right? That is the first one big important principle in integration. Visual server, right? I love Visual Server because the architecture beside Visual Server, I think it was one of the best architecture Microsoft create ever. It was the adapter, right? I love this principle because it's completely abstract. That is MCP. That is the difference between before and now. What MCP is doing, we have a model context protocol which keep abstract all the models from all the resources. And that is the big, massive difference we have now with model context protocol. How it works? We have our models. It can be any type of models, even local models, wherever model you want, which is good. And with that, we have a model context protocol calling different type of server. What is a server? Server is a piece of code able to do something. Think about web service, REST, all these kind of things. Think in this way. This is how it works. So we create a server. A server is able to do something. It's really good doing something. It can be good reading a specific database and do some thinking and provide some information, or many other things. And we have different servers able to do that. We integrate with server using Microsoft MCP. This service actually specializes on different other things. What is the good things about that? The good thing is we are completely abstract and we have an adaptation layer, right? So we can change model, we can change AI model, all these kind of things without even disrupting our integration layer at all, which is a big advantage for us, right? Second thing is we are scalable because we can scale. We can scale up. Think also scale up. We can create multiple server without even touching the model. That's a massive advantage. We are super dynamic. We can even keep our model all instruct and using a server. I can tell you another things we do. We can even integrate AI in this level, which is something we do. So we have model here and we have model here, right? And another big advantage I'm giving you is this one. I see many people using artificial intelligence like I have MCP and I use GPT or OpenAI here, Copilot, or wherever it is. In my opinion, from my experience, from the result we are having now, I recommend you to use a small model, especially at this level. Small model, why? Because if I use a specialized model, something, able to do a single task, but very well. It's not really complicated to instruct a small model doing something, one thing, very well. And the good advantage is I'm not using, and I don't need a lot of power because it's a small model, right? If you use model like a GPT at this level, think about just for a question, you are going to ask or call and use, a lot of power, a lot of things for nothing, right? So this is why it's really important also to keep these kind of things, this kind of concept. And now with MCP, we have a high peak. You can see there is a lot of people using MCP. This is actually demonstrating the MCP now is the technology to use, the protocol to use for integration. It's open source, so free to use and change. There are already a lot of servers. All you see here is a list of servers ready to use. This one is for Git, for many other things. They are ready to use, specialized, doing something. So you can just grab this one and call this one to solve problem, many other things, right? I give you an example now for one thing. Let's see how it was before that. Let's open this one. The code that you see here This is a code calling AI model, okay, GPT, and this GPT is using a function. So what you see here is how we use artificial intelligence calling a function before MCP. Gotcha? Okay? I'm showing you this so you really understand how MCP works. That's super important. So what we used to do is we define tools, which is JSON, where we put a description. This is the type of function. This is the name. Add the two numbers together. We need that because we need to explain to the model what is capable to do this function, right? So the model knows, right? What is doing the parameter, all these things. This is all the information about the function, right? And with that, we actually instructed the model, we created the model, type user, we put, a question here, please sum these two numbers. With that, that's what we did, right? We have a function here, which is the function add, summing two number. So we have the function, and we describe the function here. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. No, let me stop this one. Okay, it was running. Okay, F5. Okay, it's starting. Now it's gonna start the GPT, etc. What's happened now? It looks, you really need to understand this. For me, it was like, okay, I gotcha. Okay, what's happened now? I provide information to a model, and I told there is a function, the function add is able to do two numbers, and I ask the model, can you sum these two numbers? So the model itself had a thinking about, is there something here, provide to me, is able to sum two numbers? Oh yeah, they provide me a function, so it's gonna use the function. And the model decides to use the function, right? So it's also quite important how you instruct the things, the description you put for a function, all these things. Otherwise, you can get an unexpected result sometime, right? So it's also important you explain clearly the function, everything to the model. So this is how we used to work before that. Now, with MCP is completely different, because with MCP we have two types of communication. What we do is we define the function, we enrich the function. It's going to be much easier. We don't need to define all the things you have seen now. It's going to be much more easier. And we have two different ways to integrate server. We have SSE transport and STDIO transport. The main difference between these two is STDIO is local, SSE if you want to use HTTP protocol, okay? So the good advantage is if you are working locally and you want to test AI, other things, MCP locally, you can use STDIO, but you can also switch anytime on HTTP if you want to call via API your server, everything. So you can call your server everywhere. You can think about exposing server everywhere in the company. Really good doing something. Calculate a budget or add a micro operation and so on, right? You can have your framework about MCP. And now I show you this, how it works. So this is, we go now more inside MCP. That is the difference than before. What we do, we create a server. That is the server I showed you before. We have the function, so we put the function. We integrate the MCP library, all these kind of things. And this is the main things we do. We enrich the function in this way, mcp.tool. Just because we put this in front of the function, job done, okay? we already integrated the function inside the model, right? So quite easy, eh? And with that, we started with the MCP. At the point I put IP address, this is a local IP address 0000, but you can imagine we can integrate, you know, and use different type of IP address or endpoint and so on, and that's it. In here, I start just defining about how do we want to start the server. It can be STDO or SSE. That's it. So the good thing about this is what we can do is, let me do, this one is TDO, this one is the local. I run first locally. Now I'm running AI as local. It's very fast, very quick, wherever. But you can see this is exactly the same thing I've done before, but without specifying function, other things, JSON, all this stuff. Everything has been done by the library, MCP, all right? And this is, I think, is one of the most useful things, really, to understand, okay? As you can see, the code is very simple. There is nothing, right? Super, super quick, super, super fast. For SSE, is almost, I would say, almost the same apart from this, which is going to create an SSE client, where we are going to call this specific endpoint in MCP. But our server can be everywhere. Think about you creating your integration stuff, your application, integrating in many other way, function, because you can actually put this code in Azure Function. That's not a problem. So think about an Azure Function like an AI server, MCP server. Think about all these kind of things around Microsoft Azure. And you call different server, depending, but from what do you need, right? For the server, it's nothing more than that. Then I'm going to instantiate this one. And you actually need to run the server. So this one is running the server. All right. So it's starting oh no, this one is let me, because I start in this way, let me put this one in SSE. Okay. And now it's running. This is how it works. Now it's listening in this port. It's a service, listening. So in the other side, we can actually execute this one. Oh, no, I have to go, sorry. I have to go in the other way. Let me open, integrate again. You got the point. Trust me. It should run like that. Okay? So now you actually have done the same, exactly the same thing. The main difference is I start a server somewhere, and via HTTP, I call the server. Okay? Another last things I like to show you is this one. Where is it? Okay, let me come back here. Yeah. Very quickly, RAG, you can do retrieval augmented generation, always with MCP, so you can extract. Very easy, super easy, also this one. If you look about this is very quick example. This one is, we have a JSON file with different information about the company, everything. And we have this call with the server. The server is actually this code here, is getting all the information and data from the JSON file and so on. It's starting the server. And here we have the code making a question about, hey, can you tell me this information about the company, like what is your company vacation policy? So we have a model specialized in something, right? So This is kind of also very useful, scenario in integration, for sure, right? Very easy. So if you ask me, I can provide you this code, everything. So you want to play with these kind of things, right? One of the things I really like it is also this one, and is Docker. Why Docker is important? For many reasons. First of all, when you work in AI, especially when you work with these things, and especially with multi-agent, I strongly recommend you to use Docker. Isolated environment, especially if you have AI executing code or other things. Use Docker. Luckily, with MCP, it's extremely easy to use. Super, super easy to create a container, everything, and just spin up a Docker container is so easy. I show you now. So, how it works, very quickly, I'm going in Linux now. Okay. Okay, he's hating me now. He's actually hating me. It's a war between me and Kali. Yeah, okay, man. Okay, so how it works? Very easy. Docker, you have your server. That's very stupid server, is a calculator. Sum to number, nothing more than that. I like to do this easy, so it's very, very easy to understand. Say, okay, I know how it works. And we have the client always asking about, hey, call this, of course, call this endpoint. This endpoint is exposed by Docker from the server itself, everything. Please sum these two numbers. What we need to do, we need to create a Docker file. This is the Docker file. So we have the requirement txt, and so on, what we need. We copy the server PI and the two files, the Python file, the two Python file, client and server. We expose the port 8050, and we run the server PI. That's it. Job done. Now we have MCP with a server in Docker. It's simple than that, right? With that, we are going to spin up the Docker. Is already up. Okay, we run the server Docker. So okay, I put this one in here so you can see. We do the build. The build is just like that. So we build the container with this single line of command. We run this command inside the folder because there is the point, the dot. And we run the server. Okay? When we run the server, this is the server running. When this is done, we go for the client, F5, and job done. So we have done exactly the same thing. However, now we use Docker container. Have you seen, you see how much it's simple to implement something like that, how you can extend this, right? So think about another very important principle in integration, about pattern. One of the most important pattern in integration. I'm speaking with the Bristol guys. Loosely coupled, right? So MCP is basically very loosely coupled because I can spin up server things and the batching even things and, asking AI to do things with a lot of different server everywhere, right? So for me, this is extremely, extremely nice, extremely useful. One thing I want to point out is this one is mem0. So this is one of the library just released not long time ago, which is extremely, extremely performance. So if you use MCP and other things and you need to work with data inside AI in very high performances, I just recommend you to give you an eye on this library because it's super fast. It's very nice. Last very thing is, if you want to play with AI in integration, I don't know how many of you know about LLM Studio and Ollama. Ollama, I think, is really good if you want to work locally. So what you do, you go in the internet, you download Ollama, install Ollama, and you have something like that. At prompt level, you can download your model with a command, like this one. If you do Ollama run with the address of the model you find in Hugging Face, wherever, is downloading the model and execute the model. And after that, you can use it. And after this, you can list your model. You want to use your model, you run your model. This is actually exposing API. So you can call. Do you remember when I showed you the multimodal? You can, from the YAML, call your local model here. It's very easy. Now the model is running. If I do hi, hello, how can I help you today, right? Now I have the model running, and I can experiment with MCP locally, doing my stuff. Use small model. You don't need big stuff, like a 7B, something like that. You can play a lot with this. It's a lot of fun, a lot of things, you know, to do it. Another one is LM Studio. I point you this out because what I like, sorry about the small font, but what I like is because you can easily download the model. You have a desktop, and you can play with AI, all these kind of things, fix the model, other things. In here, I put an example. It's kind of fun example. I can load the model like that. This is a Llama 3.18b model, hang sensor. This is not control model at all, okay? And I put a system prompt. You can put a system prompt here, and you can start experimenting. Here I put a system prompt. Your name is Sandro Pereira. You are a Beanstalk migrator expert. You give the best advice, but you also have a grumbler and a nitpicker, and you love the Beanstalk server mapping tool. I recreate Sandro inside the LM Studio, right? So you can have this kind of fun as well. So you can say, hey, who are you? Right? You can start playing with the model like that. Hey, my name is Sandro Pereira. I'm Beanstalk migrator expert. Been around for ages. And you can start making questions. How to Beanstalk. How to migrate things. How many of you are speaking? How many of you are actually speaking with your own AI model? Nobody? 1, 2, only? Are you serious? I have a very strict relationship with my AI model. I don't know you guys. That's strange, to be honest. But actually, you should speak much more with your AI model. Believe me. Yeah. Anyway, so this is very nice. You can experiment, you can play. It's a lot of fun, you know. Last things I want to point out, because a lot of people asking me about this, is always kind of very important question. Where am I? Here. Is this one very quickly, because it's very important. Is this one? If you want to play with AI, other things, what do you need? You want a laptop or wherever, that's okay. Yeah, GTX, don't spend too much money. 4060 is more than enough. NVIDIA GTX 4060 is more than enough. You're going to have like 1,500 pounds, something like that. Don't spend too much. But another thing I want to point is this one. I don't know how many of you know about Jetson Nano. This one, this little beast here. This is $700. So it's quite cheap. So the good thing is the CPU in this little beast is actually architect everything for AI model. This is why it's fast, all right? So even with a not big power, is even fast like a GTX, because it's just that the architecture itself is just related about how AI models think, right? That's it. So it's not good for other things, many other things. You cannot, get the same thing you have with a laptop or computer or other thing. It's just for AI. If you want to play with AI, spending in good way, spending low level money like £700, $700, that is the beast to use, right? I really enjoy this one. It's nice. Okay, thank you so much.